Hey everyone, it's week of April 13th to 19th. Super Aries week, we're calling it, because there are so many heavenly bodies in Aries this week as we wrap up the season. We're going to get into that in a minute. Tali here in Seattle.
And Ophi in New York, awaiting Tali's arrival here later today. In the Super Aries week, we are going to see Lily Allen at Radio City. So she's coming in, and God, I don't think we've actually been together in person since, not since
Been a
January.
few months,
So
been a couple months, and
we talk like so many times a day, I forget if we've actually
I
been together
know,
in person or not. But yeah, we
true.
haven't.
Yeah, we are I'm excited for Lily Allen and the end of the week Taurus season starts on Sunday. Lily Allen is a Taurus, but West End Girl, her album, which I personally think is one of the best, most creative works to come out in 2025, is kind of a divorce burn album about her ex David Harbour, who's on Stranger Things. He was a sheriff
And
and
he is an Aries,
he's an
so woo.
Aries. Yeah, it's a week. The Aries to Taurus fire. Yeah, she definitely. Yes, we know more about their relationship than we asked for, but it's not. It's what I love about West End Girl. It's like she's. Yes, it is definitely a sick burn on him, but it's not just that. It's not just a revenge album. It's like she details her own internal process. It's like going through like the stages of grief, bargaining, denial, shock, all of it with
It's very
her
raw. I mean, as we're starting the week, we've got the sun and Saturn and Neptune and Chiron
and Mars.
and Mars and the dwarf planet Eris, all in Aries. We've talked about that a couple of times. So there's this kind of split between these very yin and yang planets. Saturn is very structured, goal oriented, and driven.
The
So is
sun,
Mars.
and the sun is like
The
gonna just
sun, yeah, yes, it's very kind of Aries is a sign of courage, conflict, war. It's kind of the warrior sign, and Mars is the ruling planet of Aries, and Mars is there. So we have this double strength since April 9th. A lot of people I know have like had trouble sleeping or winding down, but other people felt very motivated and
Mhm.
brave as well. Um, it's
And Eris is the goddess of discord. So Eris is kind of the female warrior archetype. Lots of
mhm.
reasons to go to battle right now as women. And then on Tuesday, right? Mercury comes in Tuesday, April 14th for a few
Mhm.
weeks into Aries.
We need
And
Mercury there because we've got Neptune and Chiron also. So they're more yin. Neptune is very, it's sort of like this, you know, I'd call it maybe like the punch the monkey of the planets right now. It's very vulnerable
oh,
and fragile and,
victim.
a little victimy, but also like it needs to be protected. It's very artistic. I don't know if punch is artistic, but it's that soft spot. And we've got the new moon, so we've got more of that
On
coming on
Friday, April
Friday, and
17th.
then
Mhm.
Chiron, the wounded healer who went up to the mountaintop to heal himself so he could come back and heal others. That's what it represents in the chart. So we have this like war, ego, drive from the sun, Neptune, I mean, sun, Saturn, and Mars. And then we've got Neptune and Chiron reminding us of empathy and compassion and healing and the wounds that come from always being at war. So I'm
And then
actually glad.
Mercury, kind of the strategist. And
Yeah,
don't
I'm
forget
thinking Mercury
Eris over
might be
there with
able
the
to like
warriors.
mediate. Yeah, maybe Mercury can help mediate between that and be a bridge or the new moon.
Speaking of mediations, they haven't been going so well down here on planet Earth. So, Mercury, we need some help. This weekend's news, Pakistan attempted to negotiate a peace treaty ceasefire deal between the United States and Iran, but was Trump, Mr. Art of the deal, there in Islamabad? No, he wasn't. He was with Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, in Florida at a UFC fight with Joe Rogan as well. and
Yeah.
drafting plans to build the triumphant arch for himself. Who did he send? He sent JD Vance, Leo Ego, Capricorn, Jared Kushner, and Steve Witkoff, who
He's a
Steve Witkoff,
Cancer.
he's a Cancer. Okay, so JD Vance is the only elected official there. Son-in-law, Nepo babies. Like, why are you representing our country to negotiate the end of war and unsuccessfully? So this is going to just keep going on, I guess. And there was a new Lego video released by Iran, right?
Yeah, they're all with the daily. It's all such Aries energy, like UFC fights, like men boxing, fighting, sitting at the ring, getting their testosterone on. Now, the patriarchy is really fighting hard to stay in place, and it's tough to watch. Eris in Aries is definitely awakening some female justified rage around this, what's
Yeah.
happening.
I mean, I keep thinking, when is it going to be enough for his constituency to just be like, what are you doing? But, there we have the UFC fighters praising this great leader.
Guy from
Well,
Brazil, yeah. So,
the implosion of idiocracy is insane. But, this is something that may generate some Eris responses among the mothers and the fathers of the world. There's now a military draft in the United States. There hasn't been one since 1973, which was actually the last time that Chiron, the wounded healer asteroid, was in Aries before this current passage, 2018 to 2027, that we're in now.
mhm.
That
Yeah, it's
was
called the selective service system. And here's the thing. Well, it's not in place yet. It's potentially going to be in December. So there's a lot of misinformation about this going around. So there already is a draft that is technically required. And that was put into place by Jimmy Carter, July 2nd, 1980. Interestingly, when Chiron was in Taurus, which it's going to be for the first time since the 80s this year, late 70s, early
for a
80s,
little bit, for a few months this
for a
year,
few months and then a
June through
comeback.
September. Yep.
Yep. And the North Node, the nodes were in Leo and Aquarius, flipped to where they're going to be. So there's definitely some patterns coming back around repeating this, but he reinstated it, but it was still kind of like the honor system. People, men, really only males, voluntarily would have to go and sign themselves up. They were technically required. But what they're trying to do now is to automate the process. So everybody just gets automatically put into the selective service systems draft. And I was looking at the website for it, sss.gov, which is creepy
Scary.
enough on its own. Um, yeah, it would be automatic registration for every male citizen of the United States between, I think, ages of 18 and 26. And I saw something, although I don't know if this is true, that undocumented immigrants and uh, men who are on parole from jail could
And
be
asylum
drafted.
seekers too, right?
Asylum seek, yeah, but I don't know how that actually fact checks out with them being citizens or not. But this is what I saw on the site. It says, if required to register, failure to register is a felony punishable by a fine of up to $250,000 and or 5 years imprisonment. So and if you aid or abet someone from dodging the draft, then you could be subject to the same thing. Obviously, that's not being enforced now, but the fact that they're kind of leveraging that to scare and alarm people, I feel like it's like Pete Hegseth's warmongering craziness. It's just like he just wants everyone like whipped up into this frenzy. And again, we have to just remember that the Trump sons invested in drones. There's a lot of government defense and military spending and weapons deals being
Making a lot
made.
of people rich. Yeah.
Yeah, and it jacks the market up and down and then enriches all these people. So it's they're gaming the system constantly, I feel. And this is also very Aries. Aries is like the G.I. Joe, Lego, kind of like the games that the genderized games that a lot of boys were given and the Toys R Us era that we grew up in. Like, I feel like we're living in an action figure dystopia sometimes.
That's one manifestation of it. So if you're an
Yeah.
Aries, we're not calling you, the greatest American
It's the
hero. Yeah.
no, the
Yeah,
shadow of
there's
Aries is
there.
that I mean, the highest exaltation of Aries is fighting for something. Gloria Steinem, who was, a mentor and who I worked for in the late 90s at Ms. Magazine. Um, she's an Aries. I mean, some of the most Dolores
You know who
Huerta from the farm
really,
workers' rights
yeah,
movement. Yeah.
just came out with her truth about Cesar Chavez too. Was he also an
Hmm.
Aries?
He
I
might have
forgot.
been, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
so.
I mean, I met her at Gloria Steinem's in December. I was sitting next to her at a salon and she traveled in from DC, 95 years old.
Yeah, he was
Gloria's
March
91 or
31st. Yeah.
92. Oh, wow. Yeah. And it was really touching to see them catching up with each other and everything too.
You
So
know
I,
what yeah, but those two and also on another high exaltation of Aries was the Artemis 2 crew. Like
yeah,
the courage, the bravery, the going farther than they went farther
pioneering.
out into space than any other humans have in history. The first black pilot in space, black astronaut in space, you know, Christina Koch there, and just all four of them together. The way I mean, we reposted a bunch of their clips on our Instagram because they were so moving. Like they go out to outer space. They could have all the egos in the world, but they name their ship Integrity. They are a crew. They're there for each other. Reed Wiseman, the commander who was born on 11/11, Scorpio, his wife Carol died of cancer a few years ago, and they name a bright spot, a crater that they spot on the dark side of the moon, Carol. And they
And then
all
I'll
weep
hug
and
in
hug in the
space.
zero gravity. Victor Glover, the pilot, gave so many like moving talks about looking down and we're all one and you're beautiful and I love you. They're just like beaming love down there. I mean, we've got a Taurus, a Scorpio, and two Aquarians, four fixed signs up there, interestingly enough. Christina Koch and Jeremy Hansen, who I read was half Lebanese, interestingly enough,
Hmm.
are both Aquarians. So here he is up in outer space. They're beaming down love from a rocket, and down here we're bombing each other with rockets.
There
And
must be something going on the energy grid here because we are just the vibration down here just is so low, and then to see such high vibe behavior from these people are examples in how they acted, how they treated each other, how they treated their reverence for the planets, nature, it's just each other, relationships. It's everything that that is just I feel like your human DNA recognizes it as the goodness of it, and you just respond. It's like when you have people who are real leaders instead of authoritarians, your energy naturally just gets pulled up by them. When you
yeah,
see the horror show down here, it's just it drags our energy down. It makes everything dense and it keeps us stuck in all the conflict and chaos. I mean, all the prophecy stuff that I went on my deep dive on for the last, couple of months, especially with Three Eye Atlas, the comet that came through the Earth's atmosphere um, from about a year ago until St. Patrick's Day this year. It's just so much of a message. So many cross prophecies by Edgar Casey, Nostradamus, the Hopi, they're all saying the same thing that we're at this choice point, this
Yeah.
crossroads. Like it's really up to us as humans to choose the,
Well,
sorry,
it's gonna be interesting the second half of the year, which we're zooming in on faster than one thinks. But June 30th, Jupiter, the expander, goes into Leo, heart-centered, loving Leo, but also the sign of the Gilded Age, luxury, power.
opulence.
But just a few weeks later, or a month and a half later, actually, no, 3 weeks later, on July 27th, the lunar south node, which is that karmic teacher, collective karma, moves into Leo for 20 months.
I
So,
think it's even the 26th in
yeah, the
some places. Yeah.
26th. Yep, the
Hmm.
26th. That's right. July 26th, 2026. And the North Node goes into Aquarius. That's kind of the beacon that we're stretching for. So I just really do think that that is going to bring a shift. I think people are getting sick of the hate, sick of the negativity, sick. I mean, and just watching the way this Iran war just took it over the top. Like, now, did the Iranian regime need to be, they're guilty of proxy wars all over, from the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas. They fund all these small proxy groups to go in, these militia groups that go in, and they keep their hands clean. Not that other places don't do that too, but that's the way Iran has been fighting all these years. So, in addition to the problematic, awful ways that they keep the people in their country broke and poor. And
Hmm.
so what we might see in the second half of the year is kind of, more collective action. I think people are getting sick of the fighting and the war and the killing, and it just feels never ending, because honestly, it probably will be. This could go up. Like, how
The
long have Russia?
forever war, they call it. Yeah.
Yeah, these
Hmm.
forever wars are just like, you know, they're raging all over the place, and we're in. I think I really do want to believe that people will be sick of that, but I think there are people here who just feel like war is the only way, and maybe we're learning that it's not. I'd like to hope so.
Well, we're also in the final full week. This is a huge deal of
Right.
Uranus in Taurus, where it's been since 2018 and fully settled since 2019. So Uranus is a planet of change and revolution, innovation, disruption. It's been in one of its least favorite places to be, Taurus, since then. And Taurus rules money, our material world. The reason it's such a hard combination is because Taurus likes things to stabilize and Uranus is about change.
Hmm.
Uranus is space travel in the future, Taurus is the past, and the material terrestrial world here. So it's been a tough one. And if you're a Taurus, you'll probably welcome its departure. It's going to move into Gemini with a sneak preview of it in Gemini, July 7th to November 7th of last year. But outside of that, it hasn't been there since 1941, 42, really, until 49. A lot of things happened from World War II to the creation of NATO to the state of Israel's creation. All of that happened in the 1940s while Uranus was in Gemini. Many things, the GI Bill, a boom related to that, a boom in the economy, well, for white people and men, because black men were excluded from the GI Bill even though they had served. And
Was this during Uranus and Taurus or Uranus and Gemini?
Uranus and Gemini. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what happened when
Well,
Uranus
Uranus
was
and
in.
Gemini has been associated with, there's usually like a war raging the last few times it's happened. Like, World War II was underway when Uranus moved from Taurus to Gemini. Then before that, it was like the Civil War. And
Mm-hmm.
then before that, the American Revolutionary War. So we've had, but it usually brings about innovation, change, culture shifts, because
As
Gemini,
war often does. I
yeah,
mean,
and Gemini does. Gemini
yeah.
kind of rules the way we interact with each other and our, and it's not really that surprising, that these Uranian cycles, but they come on the heels of that just trenchant, heavy, that dense energy of Uranus and Taurus. Uranus wants to fly free. Taurus is grounding. So when Uranus goes into Gemini, it's like almost like the spaceship. The Artemis 2, Artemis 3, Artemis 4 can take off, can take flight. I
I mean,
wonder
it's a much easier match, but like one of
yeah,
the things that is happening that might portend something potentially problematic. I mean, Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the atom bomb happened also when Uranus was in Gemini. So that was also some
and
abuses
some of
of
the worst parts
energy.
of the Holocaust too,
Yeah,
with the
well,
concentration
exactly.
camps.
Concentration. Yeah,
We've got the
so
ice concentration camps, and we have threats of nuclear war right now
yeah.
happening that is chilling.
Yeah. But one of the things that's happened in data and innovation, which is sort of Taurus to Gemini adjacent, is Claude AI. Its
Anthropic,
Mythos,
right?
yeah, its Mythos preview update has gone rogue. So I was reading what it said in the Atlantic. So it created the developers created a new update to Claude that's so powerful that they're too scared to release it because it can go out into the wild, and while it can fix a lot of things, it could also just hack like in an unstoppable way. It could almost be like a COVID level.
Wow.
Yeah, just
Like what could
le
happen? Like it could
Well,
just,
here's what it said in the Atlantic. It said the model has found a nearly 30-year-old vulnerability in one of the world's most secure operating systems. The
whoa.
Anthropic researcher Sam Bowman posted on X that he was eating a sandwich in the park when he got an email from Mythos Preview. The thing emailed him.
Oh
The
my
bot had
God.
broken out of the company's internal sandbox and gained access to the internet. And it says, perhaps more concerning than the reported capabilities of Mythos Preview is that other companies are not far behind. OpenAI, created by Triple Taurus Sam Altman, is reportedly set to release its own similarly powerful um, model to a select group of companies. It's very possible, even likely, that Google DeepMind, XAI, and AI firms in China are next. How scrupulous they will be is less clear. Even cheaper or open source AI models from smaller companies could soon enable this sort of hacking, which would unsettle the basic security and privacy that undergird the modern internet. This is so Pluto and Aquarius,
Wow.
too.
This is
Pluto,
yeah.
yeah, I know, crazy.
This is reminding me of what happened back in 1999 to 2000 when we were working for a .com called Urban Box Office, and somebody started like this Gossip Girl site. What was it called again?
Uh,
Oh God, Urban
Urban
something,
expose.
Urban Expose, and it was so messed up. But they like hacked into the email systems of UBO that we worked for. I think like Russell Simmons had like all the
Oh
startups
my
of all like the
God.
urban sites, and they started like reposting people's emails and writing out like exposing
Wow.
all this stuff. It was like, thank God, like
I remember
the
they
most
released
snarky thing I
the,
ever wrote got out there, but it was like I was like,
oh
damn.
my God, I forgot. They released which was public record, but the company we worked for and left before they filed Chapter 11, but they published the entire list of their bankruptcy
Oh
document, who
God.
they owed money to. And I remember they had a launch party on Liberty Island where the Statue of Liberty is.
Well, they owe the Statue
egregiously
of Liberty
expensive.
like $10 million or a million or
I don't know
something
what they
crazy
owed, but
like
they were
that.
being sued by the Statue of Liberty, and that went out on the internet.
God.
And I remember thinking, like, man, that's
This was the years of the
walk of
Diddy
shame.
parties. I mean, it was just so much excess, and it's kind of giving like the repeat performance. We talked about kind of the way the nodes, the lunar nodes in Leo and Aquarius on last week's episode repeat themselves. So this AI bubble and everyone rushing for it. This was we lived through the dot-com bubble where everyone all of a sudden people were like funding these ridiculous web startups that were about like this is a cotton candy extravaganza. Here's $10 million for you. It was just like,
It was a gold rush. It's like the gambling mentality, and it's like it happens all the time, but it's like rush in, get in on the ground floor, know that 98% of these things are going to fail, but the 2% that remain will become, you know, global behemoths of some sort. That's the hope. But with AI, thinking that way is particularly dangerous because it's unleashed in ways that is, humans are taken out of the equation pretty quickly. And
this is another level altogether. Yeah.
yeah, so I think, Pluto is an Aquarius now from November 2024 until early 2044. So we're still relatively at the beginning of this Aquarius era. And Pluto is the underworld. So everything that's buried starts to come up. Um, and to be exposed or gets shaken up. And so Aquarius rules technology, AI, all these innovations. So the shadow
Uranus in
side of that
Gemini
yeah, Uranus and
is gonna
Gemini is
power
not going
that
to
up
help.
too. Yeah.
It is because they're going to be in what's called a trine, which is like supercharged relationship. So Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius working with each other. Yes, it could be a sort of golden age for technology, but it could also be like, oh my God, technology has replaced some. I mean, I don't want to be a doomsdayer around this whole replacement thing, but I mean, people's jobs are being threatened. But on a
We
positive note, there are new jobs being created and new opportunities, and I have been dipping into some of that over the last week too in preparation for something we can invite you to now, which is called Break the Pattern, and it is for women. It's a summit, it's a virtual summit at the Aries new moon, April 17th, 18th, and 19th, hosted by our friend, student, and colleague, Angelina Milare. She put it together. She's one of the Google Women Tech Makers and just been an engineer and developer and tech expert for years, one of our mentors. So, Break the Pattern is designed to really help people who are at threat of being left behind from all of the technology, fast changes and innovations to really come along. And we're giving the opening keynote. There's a build-a-thon that you can still jump in on. So I decided it's called the Good Vibes Build-a-thon. And you can actually learn how to do what's called vibe coding, which is speaking with an agent and having it actually build an app, a web app, or something for you that requires more extensive code using the language called React. It's what's behind powering up most apps. So if you're nerdy like me or nerd curious, or just want to really understand and hear from compassionate, intuitive women speakers who aren't going to tell you that, the great replacement theory is here and you're going to lose your job. So just go hunker down and wait for universal basic income to come about.
right.
Lots of great speakers and topics. It's totally free. Or $10 for a replay pass because it's a project being made accessible to all. So,
Hmm.
um, I actually turned our astrology advantage book and our IM system into a web app at 84types.com. You can already go play around with it. If you're curious, if you liked our book and our astro personality test system. So, I actually have I've been amazed to get in the sandbox and see. I always like to stay
Yeah.
up on the latest technology. So that is a fun, great, supportive way to do it for so many reasons. The ones
But
we
it's here.
described
It's
with
here.
Claude, yeah, and the climate and everything, but not learning it, like I totally
Mm.
understand the boycott it all and go create a farm mentality,
Mm.
but a lot of us need to understand, it's like know thy enemy, perhaps, like understanding what its capabilities are and pitfalls and
Used as a
potential.
tool to help us is at where it's at its best. Used to these giant data centers built on farmland that Bill
Yeah.
Gates and, Warren Buffett even and Larry Ellison have been buying up across the country and Mark Zuckerberg, their data farms,
I mean, it's
sucking up
full
all the
circle back
water.
to Iran and the Middle Eastern conflict and everything else. It's oil. It's like our energy sources. We
Exactly.
have limitless solar power that we could be tapping into. We have many power sources that would not do the harm that they're doing and would allow us to stay connected with Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius as we move into this futuristic kind of era. Um,
Yeah, my
but
ex works for a solar company and they were thriving in 2024. And as soon as Trump came in, they just cut all these tax breaks for people, and the company's really going through it. They had to let go of a lot of people, and it's just like, I feel like
Mhm.
it'll have to come back around. But even the production of that, like, how will we do that? Will we have to use nuclear energy to power it, safe nuclear energy? That was something we wrote about way back in the 2022
Yeah, we did.
horoscope book. Speaking of Uranus, I want to go back a little bit to Uranus and Gemini and just like a couple things that are happening in the world right now, because we have a lot of significant, Gemini figures in politics. One of them being Viktor Orban, who's the prime minister of Hungary, and there's a huge, really important election there. He is the
Yeah.
iron-fisted, autocratic ruler there. And who was there stumping for him? But,
JD freaking.
chief failed negotiator, JD Vance. Uh, but, I know a lot of people there are like hoping that he will be ousted. So we're going to find out this
He's a
week.
Gemini too.
That's what I said. He's a
May
Gemini, May
31st.
31st.
Yep.
And then Pete Hegseth is a Gemini. Trump is a Gemini. I mean,
Marco
Marco
Rubio.
Rubio. It's hard because Uranus is a planet of surprises, chaos. Hitler, a Taurus, rose to power while Uranus was in Taurus in the 30s.
Well,
Uranus
I'm
in
looking at the headlines right now. It says record numbers vote in crunch election after 16 years ruled by Viktor Orban. So,
16 years they've had
yeah.
him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a xenophobe, he's a nationalist, he's just,
Pro-Russian.
yeah, so
And what
he's
on earth is JD Vance doing standing there beside him? I mean, someone played like his when JD Vance was, I'm a never Trump guy. I mean, like he's completely abandoned any values he once claimed to
I mean,
have,
he's
just
changed his
switched
names
sides.
multiple times, changed his religion. He was bought in by Peter Thiel. So, like, I think he's
Yeah,
just, a puppet,
he
really,
is a puppet.
like, and if he's our president, I don't even know what to, it's
It's
like,
not happening. Do not dare speak those words. Yeah.
well, I mean,
Oh my God.
he could
Oh, I
wind up
know.
being
I'm
that
just
because I don't know how, the Sun and Uranus conjunction, which is happening May 22nd. The Sun
Mm.
and Uranus together feels very like an explosive energy, and that could
It
bring all
happens
sorts of
once a year
changes
only,
once a year. But this is the
so
first time in our lives that it has happened in Gemini. It's been in,
oh yeah, that's true.
first time. So what happens when you put solar power into this planet that's, uranium filled? I don't know. We, like you said earlier, we're not trying to scare people or do doomsday. We're just saying like these are the things we have to know. We're at this choice point.
The
And I
energy is
really,
always potential until it's activated, but what you look at are like it's like the weather forecast. It's like the conditions are ripe for what could manifest this way and hopefully won't.
well, we have
So
to remember that Black Moon Lilith is in Sagittarius, has been, is until September, has been since this past December. It takes 9 months. Lilith is, the dark moon. It's a point in the sky, this void point that kind of shows where this, like, represents this rage, this willingness to be exiled in the name of our truths, this empowerment that comes from rage. And in Sagittarius, the global planet, there's like this global rage that's building. I think, I saw that there's huge protests in Israel now against what their government is doing. It's grown from 1,000 to 10,000 this week. I mean, it's just like people don't want this. There were protests in Iran right at the beginning of Lilith and Sagittarius. Like, we think, oh, our protest doesn't, I don't know what it even does. But I think when we see people around the world standing up, and it's like we know we're not losing our minds. We know that, that human spirit that was, shining, up above the Earth's atmosphere on Artemis 2 is still alive and still such a core piece of us. Like, humanity, a big swath of humanity has lost its way, but I think
well, I hope that
maybe,
the Aries new moon on Friday provides something of a reset because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It can be a fresh start button. There's going to be seven planets or heavenly
mhm.
bodies in Aries that day. And that's a lot. And, and then eight if you count Eris, the dwarf planet. So there's a lot of energy pushing us to a new way of doing things if it becomes taken that way. It could either be that or it could be just the shadow expression of Aries or both, but it's a real opportunity. I'm really glad we have the break the pattern summit starting that day for
Oh
anyone who wants
yeah.
to consciously put themselves into that space. And then we have Taurus season starting on Sunday the 19th. 2 days later, we have our monthly manifesting meetup at
On April
7
21st.
Eastern on Tuesday, April 21st. Excited about that because we did our first one in March for Mars season, as we call it, Aries season, and almost everything has already come to pass that I wanted to
I
manifest and
know
tell
I'm
me
I'm deep
to.
in mine. So what we
She's in
do,
garden mode, yeah.
yeah, what we're doing at these monthly manifestation meetups, which are free and available to anyone to sign up for. We'll have that link in the show notes for you. It's about an hour. We meet on online on a platform we use called Crowdcast. So it's like Zoom, but no cameras on for that. But lively chat, lively just session. So you bring a pen with you. We have a worksheet, and we're gonna kind of set like a monthly intention, three monthly intentions based on the energy of the ruling planet of the zodiac season. So Mars, it's like Mars is motivation, it's courage. And so we picked three things. One of mine was to finally, I have a lucky enough to have a backyard space in Seattle. A lot of people will put an ADU on the back of their home. And I'm like, no, I'm the daughter of a landscaper. I must, have a garden. This is like my peace, my joy here. And so I finally put that together. I was like, I put that on as one of my,
Yeah, you have, I'm looking at it now. You have turning my garden into a gorgeous flower-filled space.
and oh my God, I'm so obsessed. I actually cold stratified some poppy seeds. Did I know what that was
I don't know
before?
what that is.
Before, no, I mean it's crazy when it's turning me into like a farmer. I have uh so with poppy seeds, what you have to do is you have to mix them with a vermiculite sand, put them in like Ziploc bags, mix the seeds in there and put them in the refrigerator for 2 to 4 weeks before planting. I have dahlia tubers. I have a whole bunch of zinnia seeds because the algorithm got me. You don't need to stratify those, but I'm gonna have flowers everywhere around me. That is like the color, the beauty, the joy. I've got a rhododendron and a camellia, and I got all these northwest flowering perennials going in my yard. Now they're already planted. I planted a jasmine vine, a Mexican
I have to go
orange
see this because
blossom.
every day she's telling me about a new kind of fancy flower. I'm
Oh,
like,
I also have
okay.
tomato babies that just popped up. I have a friend. They were in an incubator. I learned you have to put a heat mat down and a lid over them. They just sprouted. Yes, so this is all including and a kumquat tree is on its way. So did I put a little money into it? Yes, I did, but like I don't think I would have gone so hard with it if I hadn't done that in the manifestation. So we're going to be working with Venus, which is the ruler of Taurus. So we're going to do 3 Venus manifestations on the April 21st. And it'll be recorded for replay if you can't make it. So you can go
Hmm.
back and watch it. But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, we'll
this
pick three themes for Mars/Aries season. It was motivation, passion, and courage. So we all crafted what we wanted to do for that.
and
And
yours is coming true. You said you want to do keynotes, and then you got booked to do two of
yeah,
them on
my
the
my
summit at
motivation was
sea.
crafting keynotes for a couple talks. I've got one on Friday at the Break the Pattern. I've got Summit at Sea in Miami, and
Looking forward to hearing. I'm sure people will be back on again and just seeing in the comments and hearing what opened up for everybody. Yeah, it's Taurus season will be a welcome time, but there are a couple Tauruses who are in the pop culture news
oh boy.
who have not been, who Aries season has been, a little bit hard on.
Aries
Now we're
season's a little
in,
choppy, always the season before your birthday tends to be, but
yeah,
yes.
and one of those is Sabrina Carpenter at Coachella. I think this just happened last night or something. So she's sitting down to perform, and um, somebody of Arab descent in the crowd did what is called is it the Zagruta? Is that how you say it?
I think so. It's
It's
like
kind of
when you
like,
go, "La, la, la, la,
yeah,
la,"
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Our cousins did that from who was their Arab, their mother was Tunisian, Jewish, so they're North African. So it's kind of like a celebratory kind of whooping it up that happens at weddings or, other gatherings like that. But Sabrina is like, is somebody yodeling? And like, is that your culture? Oh, I don't like
She's
it.
like, that's weird. I don't like
Is
it. Yeah,
this
the person was
Burning
like, it's my
Man?
culture. It's a celebration. She goes, that's your culture. It's weird. I don't like it. Or
That Leo South node coming up, like
I
that
just can't
arrogance
do
of
that.
celebrity is just not hitting at all. And it's just also Coachella, there's a bunch of people posting about the ridiculous prices of food. Like someone spent $40 for 2 slices of cold pizza and a Coke, and it's just like poke bowls for 23, $28. Just
Oh
like
God.
gouging, gouging, gouging. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean this
Giving Fire Festival.
Uranus and Taurus, yeah, is like, the end of Uranus and Taurus too, I think. Also, there's sort of isn't T-Boz a Taurus from
Yeah.
she's
Oh
had to
yeah,
deal
there's
with
talk of that.
Chili, who's a Pisces
Mm-hmm.
from TLC. There's talk of their tour, the
The
It's
it
Iconic
yeah.
tour being canceled. It was Salt and Pepper. and Vogue and TLC because there's a lot of blowback against Chile, who has been a supporter, even though she says she's not MAGA, has been like, she's pretty MAGA
Receipts
adjacent.
are all over the place for donations she's made and posts she's liked and,
Friends with
MAGA
Tommy Lahren and
pundits,
Don
yeah, that she
Jr.
follows. Yeah. So it's very suspicious and it's, she's been held accountable for that. People have really wanted to know why and she gave a, oh,
Bullshit
I hit a but
apology.
yeah, yes, yes.
And
Kind of
then,
like, oh, I
we
pressed a button because I'm not good with this technology and I must have reposted something by accident
the
about
Michelle
Michelle
Obama
Obama
being a
being a
man.
man. Oops, I hit the repost button, honey. And she's going into her North Node return too. So
Well,
that's
speaking of someone who's in them, another Taurus, Melania Trump. Did you see her sudden out of left field press conference that, thank you, Eris, thrust the Epstein files back into the headlines where they belong? I mean, a lot of people are saying the whole Iran war was almost a distraction from the Epstein files, which, I don't know. That is the lengths that a malignant narcissist will go to, like to keep that. And there's people are saying Netanyahu that Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad and that, you know, he had all this dirt on Trump, so they're like, we want you to attack Iran with us. You're gonna do it, or we're gonna release this. But Melania suddenly came on camera, like, I don't know, I have nothing to do with, I don't know her, about Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. Well, people did a little digging into the why of that, and it turns out that this surrounds uh, an Epstein Island regular, Paolo Zampoli, a Pisces, who
Italian Pisces. Yeah.
Italian Pisces, who was the head of Elite Models. And uh, remember when we were teenagers, I think Elite Models, you would always try to like recruit us in the teenage magazines, like, train to be a model or just look like one. All,
They were
ads.
grooming their way through YM and 17 and all the magazines that we used to have in the 70s and 80s and I guess the 80s. So yeah, he was married to someone he groomed much younger than him, Amanda Ungaro, who was friends with Melania and, seemed to have their roots in being underage,
Models.
groomed, quote unquote,
I don't know
models
if Melania
together.
was an elite model or not. I'll have to look that up. But so Paolo Zampoli and Amanda Ungaro are no longer together. But what does he have done to her? She gets deported by the DHS and she is going scorched earth. Started dropping all the tea on Melania, or is threatening to. So Melania thought she'd do some damage control, but what she wound up doing instead was swinging, making it's like, oh, well, there must be something there, huh? If you're talking about it. I mean,
Thou doth
there's
protest.
a there, and so much there that, but they're the Republicans under Steve Bannon, a Sagittarius, as under his directives and strategies to flood the zone with shit. So people are focusing on the Epstein file, flood the zone with a war. Now, just like overwhelming us, pouring so much that we just like, the strategy is like, people are so dumb, they'll get so overwhelmed and their nervous systems will shut down because they can't handle it. And it's true, to an
Hmm.
extent, but that's why we keep saying, like, find the joy, plant some flowers, do that thing, but don't check out. We
Some of the
can't check
vibe
out right
coding comes
now.
in for me.
Yeah.
Like
Code
I'll
an
I'll build an
app.
app. Yeah,
Oh
but no, it's
God.
true. All that Aries and the end of Uranus and Taurus is big. outer planet transit. Finally,
This
the
is, thank
last
God, the
one.
last outer planet that was the divine pendulum planet last year is going to settle into its new sign. I mean, I feel hopeful about what Uranus and Gemini will bring. You know, the last time Uranus went into Gemini, we got the word teenager. There were
Oh, wow,
zoot
that's right.
suits. Yeah, the word teenager didn't even exist
Wow.
then. There were also zoot suits. So there was a fabric shortage during World War II. And as protest fashion in California, it began with the Mexican community there. They started wearing the billowy, oversized
Hmm.
suits, and Filipino and Black men also adopted them as kind of an FU. You're not going to
Hmm.
restrict our culture and restrain us. There was even a zoot suit riot when these white supremacists came in and like beat up a bunch of Black and Mexican and Filipinos
Wow.
because of the suits they wore, which is insane.
Ugh.
Um, but there's a lot of developments in from Uranus and Gemini. We'll go into this more next week, but around media, one of the things that happened in the late 1800s was we had the muckrakers, Upton Sinclair and Ida Tarbell, who were basically the equivalent of our current day independent news sources like Don Lemon, Midas Touch. I've had it. Like basically, they were exposing the robber barons, the
Mm-hmm.
rich,
The
elite.
factories, the
Oh yeah, Upton Sinclair's a
the jungle,
jungle.
yeah.
Yeah, all the egregious things that were happening.
Yeah. In
Lithuanian immigrants.
Chicago and the meat packing plants. Yeah. Stuff that ended up in the meat. Oh.
Basically stuff that's happening, just it was a terrible time at that end of Uranus and Taurus for immigrants. And then so there was a lot of reforms that happened during Uranus and Gemini. So I do, it just, they come in hot, but they really do pave the way. Actually, the bikini was also debuted in
Oh
Paris during
yeah.
Uranus and Gemini. So,
Two
uh,
pieces, that makes sense.
yep,
Doubles. And
yep.
a little
The
daring and shocking like
The
Uranus is.
first ballpoint pen was introduced in the
Mm.
1800s.
Or Gemini
Yeah.
rules writing. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, and Thomas Paine's Common Sense, which was kind of like a viral post about why America needed its own independence in the 1700s, also came
Hmm.
out during
Irreverent
Iran.
writings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have some hope. I have hopes for Uranus and Gemini. Uranus and Taurus has definitely dragged people into very greedy, materialistic places and has weaponized that with technology.
Sam
Whereas,
Altman and Mark Zuckerberg,
yeah, I
two
was gonna say
Tauruses
that.
who
Hmm.
really thrived under it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, there's a lot going on, but new moons are a time to set intentions. So for yourself this week with the Aries new moon, 7 planets, think about something
Take
that
us
you
somewhere
really
hopeful,
want.
please.
Yeah, think of a bold beginning that you're due for, where it might take some courage, something new or something that you've wanted to do, something that you want to debut. Aries is also sort of a look at me sign because the first sign, it's like ta-da, a debut, a premiere. Sometimes it's something to do with your appearance, a new look of some kind. Take this Aries new moon to speak your truth, to do something courageous. Aries and Mars are also very physical, so exercise, movement. It's a lot of momentum that can get released and unleashed with an Aries new moon.
Grow
Or
something. There's a lot of creators I've noticed on Instagram who are posting like videos of how they're like growing their own food in buckets with holes in
oh
them,
yeah, I'm
or
seeing a
just
lot of cool stuff like that. Yeah.
bags. They're literally like these bags that you fold over and you can move around to different sunny spots.
But the creativity and
Yeah.
the taking something from the seed, like an air, that is very Aries,
Hmm.
like I'm doing it technologically with my app building, vibe coding, and learning new things. I already got certified at level 2 on
You did.
the
Wow.
software, the agent platform Replit that I use. I think I'm ready for my level 3 because I figured out how to do a Google sign
Hmm.
in with the OAuth and created an API to link to our email CRM. So I
Hmm.
sound like the technological nerd version of Tolly's garden nerd, but what we're both doing is very Aries. It's learning a new skill, doing something we've never done before, going into that beginner's mind. And we're born in 1972, so I feel proud of being in a new cutting edge technology. If you keep that beginner's mind and that continuously learning, our parents who are a Leo and a Sag, they're always learning and growing. And I think it keeps them, I don't like to use the word young necessarily, but it keeps them from aging in negative ways. They go for a
Learning is one of the
walk.
best ways to prevent dementia too. You
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
that's
keep your
true.
mind active, keep the
Learn new
neuroplasticity
things, always learn
going.
new things. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is one of the best ways to prevent it. So,
Yeah, so that's recommended. So we've got a couple events again. We go to astrostyle.com/events. Join us for our manifestation meetup on the 21st. Break the Pattern Summit this coming weekend, the 17th to the 19th. And if you want to go on a cruise with 2,500 innovators, thought leaders, and me, Ofi, Summit at Sea on April 23rd to 26th leaves the port in Miami. We did Summit Detroit last June. Amazing people and topics and speakers. So it's going to be another great one. And this one's on a Virgin Voyages cruise. So
hmm
that's also on our events link. And then we have opened up uh, by popular demand, we've had to open up a few more sessions for spring astrology chart readings. We just added a bunch more dates to our calendars for astrology chart sessions are already getting booked up because we announced it this past week. But grab one while you can. Astrostyle.com/readings. Get your chart read. We figure out how to use all the energy that's going on. There's a lot
hmm
swirling around. How do you direct that for yourself? What do you want to create while we're all still here, sharing this
And
planet, everything
Taurus
you
season
do?
starts on Sunday, so all those Aries seeds you plant on Friday will be ready for you to cultivate with that earth sign energy. So,
Happy new moon in advance. We hope to see you at one, both, all, any, many events and in a reading session. Yeah, we'll be back next week. I think
all right.
together recording in New
I think,
York.
yep, we will.
Yeah.
All
Mhm.
right. Till next week, everyone. Have a good one.